Hello Internet people, my name is Robert, and in this extensive JotForm tutorial for beginners, I will show you how to create a survey from scratch, but you could choose to use one of the hundreds of templates that this tool comes with. On top of that, you can also sell products or services directly on JotForm. In summary, I'll show you how to add questions, change the design, create simple logic based on responses, and at the end, I'll explain how to view the results and embed JotForm on your website.
Tips with punch.
Let's get started by going to the description of this video and clicking on the first link. And you land on this page, which is JotForm. And what's cool about JotForm, they also have a free plan, and I believe you get 100 form submissions plus 5 different forms that you can create with it. And it's super easy to use, and it has a bit different features than maybe most form builders. So that's what we're gonna take a look. So let's start by signing up with an email. And since I already have an account, I'll just log in normally. And this is the JotForm dashboard. And I want you to make sure that you are in the forms. So here at the top, just select the forms if you're in any other ones. And just so you know, you can also build apps, like a mobile app with JotForms. And I have a video how to do that. That will be in the description. But once you're in the forms, you can create a new form. Here you have 3 options: start from scratch, use a template, or import a form. Now, for this tutorial, we're going to use start from scratch, but I just want to show you the templates they have, because there's thousands of them. You can see here, if you start scrolling, it just never ends. And if you know what you're going to build, you can just pre-filter from here. So for example, if I want to build a survey template, then I can select it and it's filtered out. And now you can take a look what's in here. And you can also preview it by clicking on this image and seeing what's there. And don't worry, if you don't need half of the questions, you can just delete them. But if 80% of them are correct, then I would just use the template. But for this tutorial, I'm going to use from scratch. So I'm going to go back and start from scratch. I'm going to select the classic form just because the card form, I just don't think JotForm is yet there. It's not as smooth as its competitor like Typeform. And if you're interested in a bit more modern way of displaying forms, I would check out Typeform. There'll be a link in the description. But in any case, JotForm is great with the classic forms. First of all, it's easy to use, and it just has so many templates and elements you can add. This is the JotForm editor. This is where you edit your form and add elements. Now, it looks pretty empty right now, but if you click on this plus, this is where all the basic elements live. So you can see you have all the basic questions here, but you also have options for payment. So you can choose a payment method from here, and some widgets if you want to. So you can explore these a bit later. But for example, something useful could be a YouTube embed here. I'm going to go start with the basics. So let's just add a header to this form. So I'm going to just drag it here, and now I can start typing. I already prepared some text, so I'm going to just copy paste it here like this. And I'm going to add also a subheader like this. So this is how the form starts. Oh, I just noticed that this is actually the same one. So I'm going to delete this heading as well. So you can delete it by selecting the element, and there's this trash icon. If you click on it, you'll delete it. Now, there are some other interesting parts of this. We're going to look at the settings and publishing in a bit, but also you have this form designer. So if you click on this one, you have more options here. So you have the design elements. We're going to design this a bit later. So let's start filling in this form. So I actually have some questions. So here on the left, you can see that there's the question types. I'm going to start with the multiple choice. I'm going to add it here by dragging it and just add the question. And then I can choose the type options here. So if I just remove this, I can start typing like a friend, Google, and so on. Actually, in this case, I just want 3. I'm going to remove this option by clicking on this X. And I'm going to add the other option. So I want to have others. If they click on this, then they will also add more things. But if you need more options than that, you can also click here, add option, and you can see you can start typing. There's more settings for this multiple choice, and you have this cogwheel here. If you click on it, it'll open up the properties of this specific element. So here you have obviously the question, but I could also align this to the right, left, or top. Obviously, it makes only sense at the top right now. You can also set this to required, which I will. And if you want, you can duplicate some of the fields. Then you have options here. So, okay, we've already entered the options. So you might find it easier to add them here. So it's quicker just by typing directly here. You can see it just adds it there. Can delete it. And then maybe you have something you want to have predefined options. So let's say you have a basic questionnaire where you want to know the gender. You already have that here. You can see it changed it. But actually, I don't want that. And to undo what you've just done, all you have to do is press on Control and Z on your keyboard and it goes back. On a Mac, it's Command and Z. You can also add calculation values. This is for if you want to make a kind of quiz type of a thing. And spread columns, you could spread them like this if you like it more. I actually don't care. I think it looks good like this. So I think I'm happy with this question. So we can move along and have another type of a question, which is a long text. I can just add it here. And this is my second question. And it's simple, open-ended question. So what could we do better? Again, if I click on this, click on the cogwheel, you can see the options for this specific element. So for example, you could add a sub label here if you want to. So it's like something, this additional description that you want to add. For this one, I don't need it. I'm going to keep it as is. You can check what the options are here, and there's even the advanced one. Okay, and I'm ready to add a third question. So here I need an option scale. So if I scroll down here, scale rating, I'm going to add it here. And my question is simple, like this. How likely are you to recommend our website to a friend? And now we need to adjust the labels here. So if I click on this, and here in the properties, I can select, where is it? In the options, I can select what are the labels for this. So in this case, I just want to say something like this, just keeping it a bit more casual than usual. And let me go to the general tab. And in this case, it's also required. So in advanced tab, again, very specific options for this type of element. Okay, so it looks a bit boring right now. So let's add an image. So if I scroll down here somewhere, there's an image here. I can just add it here, for example, at the top. Now I could upload it here if I just click on this and here in the properties, choose a file. I either can choose from my images because I have some other ones already, or I will upload a new one. So for example, I have this one here. So I'm going to upload this image. And you can see it added the image to the form. It's a bit too big for this one, but just to show you that you're able to add these images. And if you're not happy where it is, you can also just drag it down and it will come here. You can change the order that way. So for this one, it's a bit too big, so I'm going to just delete it. And I also want to show you how to add, for example, YouTube. I mentioned before that you have the option here in widgets. If you scroll down here and find YouTube, you can just drag it here. And now you can add the YouTube video. You can see that it already has some default one. And also you could add a title to it here. But again, not necessary for my form. It's pretty simple form, and no explanation needed. So I'm going to delete it. But what I do want to mention is that there this widget called payments. So you could just directly have a questionnaire and ask people to pay you. And this is because you can sell products directly through JotForms, and you can create actually mini pages or like mini product pages directly on JotForms and sell the products that way. So if you don't have a shop, this is also another way of monetizing some of your products. Can be a physical product, but it's much easier if it's a digital product like a book. But there's many options here for payment methods. It's not just PayPal. There's a lot of different local payment methods as well. Okay, so we've talked about different kinds of elements now, but what if you're not happy with how it looks like? So we have all these questions, but kind of boring here. You want to change maybe the colors. Well, that's what you need to do here in the form designer. So if you click on the form designer, first of all, you just need to click on the background or something if you don't see it, and then it'll appear here. Now we can adjust the colors. So for example, you could use the predefined color schemes. So for example, it already has nice blue one like this. Or if you're more into green, could use something like this. And you can also just adjust it here yourself. So we have the green here, and you can just drag it here, choose something blue maybe. Maybe you're happier with something like this or purple. So you have options here. You can also upload an image. So then it will show up in the background. I'm going to use the same image I already have here just to show you how it looks like. So you see now it's sort of a scrolls in the background, which also in this case looks quite nice actually. Maybe a bit distracting. So be careful that the image doesn't have too much stuff. But in this case, I do think it works quite nicely. So the color of the form itself, maybe not green. I'll just keep it to white or maybe even gray. No, no, okay, no, that looks horrible. So let's keep it to white. And then you have font colors. Green doesn't really work that well. I would keep it as dark as possible or something close to being black. So you could also choose something dark gray like this one here. And input background is basically this part of the text box. So if you want to change that, I would just keep it to white. But some people like it that if it's a bit different, you see, it changes like that. It's a bit more visible that way. And then you have the advanced designer where you can really dive into the different options. If you're not happy with the basic one, you can just click around here. You can even add some CSS here. If you know how to code, if you know how to add CSS code, then you could add it here. But I think this is a bit more advanced, so I don't think most people will need it, but there's an option. So let's go back to the builder by clicking on this button here. Now we adjusted the colors. There's also different styles. So you could adjust the form width and some other settings that you have here. If you're interested, just play around with them. I would change the font, for example, to something more interesting. For example, let's try this one. Okay, no, looks a bit too much, but Roboto works always. In the themes, you have already pre-built themes. They have colors and some things like that already pre-done for you. So you could choose one of these if you like them. They're quite simple, but if you like them, just feel free to use. And then you have the layout. So if you're not happy with the classic form, you can still change to card form here and give it a try that way. Once you are happy with your design, always check that it looks good on all devices. And you can do that by going to the preview form. So here at the top, if you toggle this, you can preview your form. So you can see already, I noticed that this image is not stretched, but actually here on the sides, you can see it just starts over. That's something I would need to fix. But you can also here change the device to tablet. So this is how it will look like on the tablet. And then also on a phone, you can double check how it looks like. Okay, looks pretty cool. I think it works for me. And if I want to exit this, I can just click on this preview form, or you could also just grab this URL, and this is where your form lives. So you could just share this URL and people will land on here like this. They can start filling it in. I'm going to go back. And let's take a look at the settings for the form itself. So here, and once I click settings, you have some global settings here for this specific form. So you could now add a bit more descriptive title to this form. So for example, in my case, and you can adjust here if the form is enabled or disabled, or maybe you want to disable it on a date. You have more options if you want to. You can take a look if these apply to you, for example, password protection and so on. So there's a lot of things you can add even further. I think for most of you don't need this. Then send emails. This is basically, if we take a look, you can get notification emails when people complete this form. And also, if you want, you can send an autoresponder email so that people know that you've received the form, which is quite useful. And if you click here, you can adjust things. And here you can see that you already have some settings preset for you. So it will just send the form to the user as is with their answers and things like that. And this is an easy way for you to let people know that you've received the form. You can adjust recipients here. So for example, sender name should not be JotForm, should be your name or your business name. That way it looks a bit more legit. And obviously for this to work, you need to have the email from the person. So you need to have an email question. So you can see I don't have that question. So in my case, this would not work because obviously you cannot confirm an email without asking for the email. You can't confirm the submission without first asking for the email. And then you have some advanced settings here. You should take a look so you can attach even a file. So I was talking about earlier that you can sell products, digital products here. This is one way to implement that. There's also a few other settings here that you can take a look. And when you're happy with everything, you can just save it. And now you can see that we have autoresponder, but it's missing a field, probably the email. So I'm going to just delete this one because I don't need it. Then you have the conditions section where you can set some conditions, for example, show or hide fields based on an answer. And you can also create like calculated fields, add some enable required fields. So let me show you how this works. So first of all, we need a new question because I want to show another field after somebody answered a certain way. So let's go back to build. So let's say I want to have additional question for this one. If somebody answered one or two, I would like our customer agents to contact this person with an email or a phone number and just to clarify what went wrong. In that case, I can add an, for example, here, phone number. I'm going to add it here. And I'm going to add a bit longer text here just so that to justify people why I'm asking for the phone number. Like this. So this is all you need to do. You just put in the question, and in this case, I'm going to ask for the phone number. Now, if we go back to the settings and conditions, now we can say, okay, if we choose the show hide field, how likely this question, so how likely are you to recommend us? If somebody answers less than a value of 3, then do the following. So I'm going to show this field, the last field. Sorry to hear about your experience. This is the phone number. If I save this now, let's go and preview this. And now you could just answer here. Yeah, blah, blah. And now if I answer a 4, you see nothing happens. But if I answer a 2, you can see it immediately asks for the phone number. Here you can enter the phone number and then submit the form like this. This is the thank you page. We also need to update this one in a bit. This is how you set the conditions in JotForm. It's quite simple and you can go quite advanced with this one if you want to, but it's up to your creativity what you do with this. So let's go back to the form builder. And you can see you've got responses. That's just basically me. I want to finish the settings part. So you also have the thank you page where you can update it. This is what we just saw as well. Thank you. Just going to close this for a second. You can show a thank you page on the submission. So like this one, or you could redirect this to external link. In this case, it could be a thank you page on your website or anywhere else. You can just redirect people to that URL. If you select here, you just enter the URL. But I actually like the thank you page, and we can update this one here. So if I select here, you can update the text. And I'm going to just change this text one, keep it otherwise the same. Here, you can update the logo if you're not happy with this one. So for example, just like this one, I'll just change it slightly like this. Cool. I like how it looks like now. And if I go in this settings here, I can also change a bit the layout. So for example, if I wasn't happy how the image was on top, I can change it here. There's also some fields here that you can use as variables. So for example, if you ask for the name of the person, you can then use here in the thank you page as well, the name as a variable. I'm quite happy with this one. I'm just going to keep it as is. You're going to also add action button here. So for example, download the PDF. Now you could add PDF here. Let's say there's a default document. It's nothing, but you can see you could download something from here directly. Again, this goes to the fact that you can sell products here or just provide freebies to people through this form builder. Then you have the integrations. JotForm integrates to so many different tools. There's just, I don't know, hundreds of them. And I think the most useful, at least for me, is the email marketing tools like GetResponse and Campaign Monitor and things like that, where you can just connect it. You have this as the form, people fill it in, and then the email goes directly to your email marketing software. That way you can start a new relationship with your survey responders, and they become your customers in the long run. Then you have the approval flows, which I think mostly will be concerning for a bigger company. So I'm going to skip this one. And if you have the mobile app from JotForm, then you can get some notifications when somebody answers this form. So this is where you can set. But actually, I don't want that. I'm going to just check on it every now and then when people have responded. Okay, once you're happy with everything, you can also publish it. So if you click on publish, here's a quick way of sharing it. I already showed you this URL. But you also can email that. So you send an email invite. And you can also embed it on your website. So for example, if you grab this code, you can just show it anywhere on the website. So let me show you how it works. This is my website and it's the About page, and I'm using Elementor as my page builder. All I have to do is search for HTML, and pretty much all page builders have something similar where you have an HTML block which you just drag it in. And now if you paste that code, that script we just copied, if you paste it like this, you see it doesn't show up right now, but if I preview this, so this is my About page, and if I scroll down, you can see that this form is now embedded on my website, and I can just answer this easily, blah, blah, blah. And if I answer 3 or less, no, actually 2 or less, then I'll need to add the phone number so that the customer care can call me. And then if I submit it, that's it. I should see thank you page now. Okay, it's loading. Maybe it's because it's a preview. Yep, now it loaded, and I can also download the PDF here if I want to. You have a few other ways to upload the form here, and if you're using WordPress, you could also just upload the free plugin and then it'll show up, but it's really up to you how you get it on your website. Then you have the feedback button, pop-up, and lightbox. So these are just different ways of showing your form on your website. So you can choose one of these, and all of them have the code. You place it on your website and then it shows up. You also can customize for example, the lightbox and play around with the settings here. I'm going to go back. You also have other publishing settings here. For example, what's interesting is the pre-fill. You can use other parts to pre-fill your table if you want to. But take a look. This is really interesting and quite advanced stuff. Now, once you embed this or start sharing this form with your customers or your followers, you start getting responses. Now, obviously, you want to see those somewhere. Where do you see it? Well, simply go here in Form Builder. You click on the Form Builder and you come to the tables. And it will take you directly to the table with website feedback form. You can see I already started getting the answers. These are the answers I just gave. What you saw some of them. And this is where you can view them. You can also download them. You have the option for CSV, Excel, and PDF. And then if you want to see this in a nice graph or something, you can come, instead of tables, you come here in Form Analytics or Report Builder. So let's click on Form Analytics. So again, here you can see that you start seeing some information, devices, platform, location. And this is specific for that form I just created because you can choose other forms as well from here. There's more generic answers for the form, so it's not answer specific. If you want that, then you come here and you have the reporter builder. And now you can build a report based on the answers from the forms and just how people have responded. You can build a nice little chart showing which answer got the most clicks for multiple choice. So this is the way you could share it with your stakeholders. JotForm can also create a cool looking mobile app. For in-depth tutorial, check out this video right here. I'll just take you step by step through the whole process.